Hello there, my name is Mónica Esgueva. I am the author of 9 books on personal and spiritual development. Today I would like to discuss the Eightfold Noble Path from my modest understanding, as these teachings from the Buddha have been very helpful to my own life. In case you have never heard about it, it's one of the core teachings of Buddhism and is considered the path to end suffering and to attain enlightenment. It consists of 8 practices or disciplines that, when practiced together, can lead to greater wisdom, compassion, and peace. This is still very relevant in modern life because it offers a practical and comprehensive framework for achieving spiritual liberation and developing wholesome character and qualities. Understanding and practicing the Eightfold Path can lead to greater serenity, happiness, and well-being in several ways. This can be so useful for all of us, and that's why I want to review them with you. To understand and digest it, I will touch on the first 4 elements today, and in the next episode, I will continue with the last 4. In my opinion, to comprehend and apply the first 2 elements of the Noble Eightfold Path in modern life, it is essential to delve into their essence and find practical ways to incorporate these teachings into our daily lives, basically. So let's start with the first one, which is the right vision. This leads to the right understanding as the foundation upon which the spiritual path is built. This is the seed. All the other factors are the soil and the water and the sun for it to grow. But the essence has to be there, or there will be nothing. You are drawn to materialism and nihilism when you don't have that right view about the nature of reality and human existence, basically. This causes individuals to treat others and animals as inanimate objects or machines, and is very destructive for all. In the context of modern life, this factor entails an invitation to observe our reality with an open and curious mind, questioning our habitual perceptions. To start, the law of karma teaches us that every action has a reaction, and our daily decisions and actions have immediate and long-term consequences. In practice, this means adopting a conscious and reflective approach to our choices, asking ourselves how they will affect not only our well-being and inner growth, but also others and the environment. And understanding the impermanence and the inherent dissatisfaction of the mundane existence invites us not to cling to our possessions, our status, or even relationships from a place of attachment and grasping, but to value them from a perspective of gratitude and fluidity, recognizing that everything changes and true contentment comes from within. This part also encourages us to question what the media and social media tell us. And we must also question our programming, what we have been taught, what the majority considers normal, and of course our own beliefs and prejudices, to develop a deeper understanding of ourselves and the world around us. This aligns with Buddha's advice not to blindly accept beliefs, but to seek liberation through personal experience and reflection. And this takes us to the second element, which is the right intention. The right intention urges us to cultivate a mindset that favors peace, compassion, benevolence, stripping away destructive thoughts such as neurotic desire, hatred, aggression, jealousy. So it's not just an attitude of the mind, but it's also the heart towards the world. And this principle refers to the absence of ill will, harm, greed, envy, anger. The basis is the correct view, understanding reality and overcoming delusion, which is the root of hostility and greed. In our era, this can translate into daily mindfulness and meditation practices, which help us become more aware of our thought patterns and consciously choose those that nurture our well-being and the well-being of everybody around us. So actually, the right intention is a very high form of meditation because you commit yourself not to let any negative emotion run wild in your mind. Instead, you will be watchful to replace those thoughts, with positive thoughts immediately. And this needs to be in place to have the other elements, such as the right speech or the right action in daily situations. Unless you have this in the forefront by practicing it every single day, you will find yourself in the middle of an argument saying things that you will later regret, or you will do things in the spur of the moment, clouded by negative feelings. You may not be able to change that afterwards. So this applies to relationships with others, but also the relationship with yourself. Thus, right intention involves being aware of our own words and actions and how they can influence others, and choosing forms of communication that promote, first and foremost, harmony and understanding. And this is especially relevant in the digital age, where communication speed often leads us to react without reflection, disrespect, or even harm others. So incorporating these elements into our modern lives not only benefits us individually, but also has the potential to create a ripple positive effect on our environment, inspiring others to follow a path of greater awareness and compassion. Okay, let's go to the third element, which is right speech. And the practice of the right speech is essential in our daily interaction and in how we present ourselves to the world. And it cannot be modulated by preparing ahead of time and rehearsing whatever we're going to say with the proper sentences. We have to respond spontaneously to all kinds of situations. The greatest help here comes from a sincere effort to cultivate the right intention. No ill will, no cruelty, and renunciation. And I will explain what I mean by renunciation in a little while. Our speech has to be cleansed of any tendency to hostility or unnecessary criticism of others, because the heart must be purified. So you don't focus unwisely on people's faults, because this is where negative emotions come from. And that leads to the wrong speech. So renunciation in this context is a form of no manipulation. So when you talk, you don't try to get something out of the person. For example, if you work in sales, it is easier to see others as potential customers and focus on convincing them to buy things. Of course, it is an honorable profession. You just need to be careful, have goodwill for people, and explain your product without any greed behind. This doesn't mean that you will not be successful in the world or that you will lack resources. It's about using your speech honestly and with the right view, having empathy and compassion for other people, and speaking from the heart. Let me tell you a little story that can guide you. There was a disciple that approached his master and said, "Master, do you know what other people say about you?" "One moment," says the master. "Have you already passed what you are going to tell me through the 3 gates?" "The 3 gates?" The young man responds, "No, I don't even know what the 3 gates are." The master continues, "Are you sure that what you will tell me is the truth?" "Well, no, I just heard it." "Well, this is the first gate. Is what you are going to tell me good?" No. Actually, it's rather unpleasant." "Well, this is the second gate. Is what you are going to tell me useful to someone?" "No. In fact," the disciple stammers, confused. "This is the third gate. And tell me, if what you are going to tell me, you don't know if it is true, it is not good, and it's not helpful, why on earth do you want to tell me? Wouldn't it be better to forget it forever?" So, to be able to keep track of our speech, we can keep in mind 4 points. We should avoid lying, harsh or critical speech, speaking to divide, and superficial or frivolous speech. I mean, it's hard always to be truthful because nowadays there are social pressures to advertise yourself and perhaps present yourself as someone you are not. We see this often on social media, in the show business, and in politics. One caveat here: being truthful is not about blurting everything out as some people do, just because this is what they understand being honest is. The right speech has to do with truth, but also has to be beneficial. Otherwise, it's best to stay quiet. Sometimes one needs to speak strongly without cursing others, but this must be balanced. You need to know your heart, your intention behind. And we should also avoid creating division and separation with people, but being able to say things that will look for reconciliation. It seems to be in human character to sow discord, but this has very negative consequences and it will bounce back at some point to you. And the last category is frivolous or pointless speech. It's like useless blah blah blah. Irrelevant speech is speaking for the sake of speaking, like endless talking about soap opera or a TV series, or last Sunday's sports match, or whatever you found out about your family, a family member, for example. This often leads you to say useless nonsense that makes you waste your time, your energy, and ultimately your whole life. So if you observe yourself, when you get involved in superficial speech, you feel tired at the end of the conversation. However, participating in a good conversation makes you feel energized and inspired. So the question you can ask yourself is it relevant what I'm going to say? Is it valid? Or am I just filling the air with sound? So, in summary, our words must be true, affectionate, helpful, promoting concord, harmony, positivity, and you. And last but not least, we have the right action. And the right action guides us towards ethical and responsible behaviors, driven by pure and constructive motivations. Traditionally, in the Buddhist culture, this refers to refraining from killing or harming living beings, not stealing or taking what is not freely given, refraining from engaging in sexual misconduct or exploitative behavior, not promoting false speech, and refraining from using intoxicants that cloud the mind and impair our judgment. So here, it does not refer merely to the absence of actions that make you virtuous. Virtue requires intention. As a matter of fact, someone came once to Buddha and asked him, does anyone who does not violate the 5 precepts of not killing other beings, not stealing, not lying, not like abstaining from sexual misconduct and intoxicants, are these kind of people virtuous? And the Buddha answered very interestingly, no, because a 3-month infant breaks none of the precepts, but is not a virtuous person per se, because that baby is not intentionally moral. So morality, virtue, requires intention and understanding. So it's not the inability to violate those principles, it's acting from understanding them. And this is clearly interwoven with the correct view. The reason you have decided not to kill or steal is that you understand that it's not okay to kill other living beings or steal from other people. So the next step will be making positive contributions towards them. And it requires effort too. It takes effort not to harm people, or at least be neutral. That requires a lot of mindfulness and a heightened state of awareness about what you are doing. Some circumstances are more conducive to drugging you, and that's why you need to be very clear about it, so you don't fall prey to unwholesome actions. In situations with a lot of pressure, in a heated conversation, or when you are clouded by strong feelings, bad judgment sweeps over people and take harmful actions, leaving regrettable consequences and a bad conscience afterwards. So acting from a negative mental state, such as anger, greed, jealousy, or selfishness, inevitably leads to harmful results. Having a set of moral values, such as non-violence, honesty, and generosity, is crucial. By cultivating the right action, we strengthen our commitment to these values and make them an integral part of our lives. I always say that instead of judging our actions as good and bad, because this is a perspective that can vary widely between different cultures, religions, and moments in time, it's more helpful to consider whether our actions are beneficial or harmful for ourselves and for others. So this approach allows us to evaluate our actions more objectively and fosters a sense of responsibility for the common well-being. Well, we will continue in a few days. In the meantime, I invite you to reflect on what we have seen today, and if it is helpful, you can watch this episode again.